Greetings. This is Arvette McLean with Speak, the Universe Listens. New ways to view age-old challenges. Change your thoughts, change your life. Step into the bigness of you. Greetings and welcome to today's episode of Speak, the Universe Listens. And today's topic is Your Questions Answered. And I have Teron joining me.
Hey.
Rodney.
Hey.
And Stephen.
Hey.
So one of our most favorite things is to get questions and to be able to provide different perspectives on the questions that you all send to us, or even just in general conversation. Sometimes our viewers will have questions for us, and so we love questions, and we thought we would dedicate a show to answering a few questions today. So let's start with Rodney.
All right, the first question is, what are some ways y'all deal with self-doubt?
That's a good one. Knowing that I am everything that I am. I'm a divine being, and not just that though, but I'm confident. You know, when I say confidence, I just didn't grow up with it. Just realized that I have nothing to be afraid of, and I think it could be a process for anybody. You know, it just doesn't happen overnight. But when you start to believe a lot more in yourself, then your confidence grows, and then hey.
Yeah, I think for me it's just reminding myself that I'm connected to the universe, and that anything I want or anything I'm having doubt about, I can create something different. Like I can visualize exactly what I want, and not think about the doubts I have or the things I don't want.
Yeah, and for me it's so I do kind of what you guys do, so I guess I'll go and give another step that I do as well. Like if I'm having trouble like visualizing myself, I actually reach out to y'all, like, and I'm like, I'd like say something that's going on, or I'm famous for like calling on Arvette, and then we just run through the different scenarios, and then after we run through the different scenarios, I'm like, yeah, well, I guess if that's the worst that can happen, and the worst is always something good, then I guess I'm all right. And then like the self-doubt kind of becomes a little relieved, and I start feeling like, yeah, well, everything gonna work out because you said it's gonna work out, and just feel it. So that's kind of how I've dealt with the self-doubt throughout so far.
And I just have to piggyback on everybody, because it's like once you realize that you're connected to the one who created it all, like you're a divine being, you're a part of that flow, a part of the flow of energy of the universe. There's nothing, can you imagine God being like, oh, I'm doubting myself today. I don't think I did good with you guys. So I think really, once you really own that you're a part of the divine, the flow of all that's divine, it just changes everything. So it doesn't matter. It's no longer up to you to figure stuff out, because you can lean back on the glory of God, the glory of the universe, the glory of your highest spirit, whatever you want to call it. But that energy that runs through all things, like it runs through me. And the energy that knows all things, that energy runs through me. The energy of pure love runs through me. So what is there to be doubtful of? And in those moments when you forget, it's great to have, I'll just call it like a group of people who believe, who knows the bigger part of you, who remembers the bigger part of you, and who can help you to remember, I'm bigger than this, I'm more than this. And it's not contingent on anything that I've done, anything that I have, anything, any award that I've gotten, any bad thing that I've done in my life. None of that matters. It's that you're just a part of the flow of all that is.
Next question. How do you cope with a close family member death?
So I'll jump in on this one first, because as you guys know, it was something that I had to learn, especially like here recently. And what I started realizing is, okay, I say exactly what I said at the last funeral I attended. Actually, if we believe that we are loved, and then we also believe that love never leaves you, then the way that I cope is by knowing that that person never left me. Like, they're still here. So the love is still there, and that feeling that I feel from them, and that love is, every time I feel that, that's them. And every time I want them there, I can feel that, and they will appear in some capacity. And so I guess the way that you deal with coping is you give yourself that space, but you also know that, hey, I know Vet has actually told me the hardest way to reach somebody is like when you're feeling sad, like especially like in that space, like the hardest way to reach them is when you're sad. So you kind of uplift yourself, and then they meet you there. So just constantly remind yourself, the better you feel, the more likely you are to feel them actually.
There's so many ways you can look at it. I think for me, I had a huge death in my family that affected me, and I think I look at it like all of us are energy, and of course we're not going to be in our physical form forever, and I don't look at death as a sad thing. It's a celebration of life, and like I said, I think everybody can look at it in different ways, but for me, I just look at it like a celebration of life, and understanding that that energy, that person's energy, or what I remember from them, that's gonna stick with me, So if I'm thinking of this person in nothing but love, like the happy times, if that's all that I remember and that's what I'm thinking of, then I'm not gonna be too much in a space of sadness. But it's very normal to be sad. I'm not saying you're not going to be sad, but for me, I would say just remember the good times and just understand that everybody is energy. And what you were saying too, pretty much, if you are in that space of like sadness, you're not going to really connect with or feel them. But that's what I would say. That's how I deal with mine.
Okay, so I actually have never lost anyone that's extremely close to me, and so I don't really speak from experience in this, but my thinking on it is to almost decide in advance. Starting now, I'm already having my mind made up in terms of what death means to me. And so there was a time, like, y'all probably know I'm a crybaby, so like if anybody die, oh my God, I just
break it down.
I just be towed up from the floor up. I don't even have to know the people, I would just be so just distraught behind death. But over time, how I view death has changed, and I still cry when people die, but now I'm not, because I think I used to be crying for the person who died, like just like, oh, poor person that died, like poor person, like I feel so sad that person died. But now I cry because I'm crying for the people who are alive, who's going to miss the person who's died. But as far as the person who's died, I'm believing, like you all have said, like energy is not created or destroyed. So they are still here, and as long as my vibration is high enough, I can still communicate with them. And I've talked to enough people who have lost loved ones I can tell the difference. Like when people are really sad and depressed about it, and they can't move past it, it's like they're looking for their loved one where they are not. And people who are like, you know what, I'm okay because they came talking to me yesterday. It's kind of like they're looking for them where they are. And so as long as you're looking for them where they're not physically here. You want to see them with your eyes and physically see them. That's not where they are. But they are here, but in energetic form. And so if we're looking for them there, then we're more likely to find them. So, like I do believe that most of us will go through some type of sadness because, well, dang, I want to see you in the physical. I want to be able to hug you and kiss you and love on you, But I also believe that the next level, wherever they are, you can now have a totally different relationship with them, and in some ways, it could really be better.
Okay.
So I had a question asked to me, and the question was, how do you remain in the present moment while also still visualizing and creating the future that you want? And what I would say to that person, because I didn't at that time, was it really just begins with knowing that your present is your future, which is so hard to understand. Like, not really though. So it's like the minute that you accept that everything that you do right now also creates what you want in the future, then your future starts becoming exactly what you want it to be, because you just have to walk in that energy now, is what I would say.
I would say just being thankful for and showing gratitude for what you have now and what you're going to have. I think when you put yourself in a place of gratitude for what's right now, then you're in the present moment. Like, okay, this is happening right now, and I'm thankful for this. And I'm also thankful for what's going to happen as well.
Let me hear the question one more time.
It was, how do you stay in the present moment, but also focus on creating the future that you would like for yourself?
I would say, if anything, just going off of my experience, I stayed in the present moment, but I really focused on what it was that I wanted. Just piggybacking off of Rodney, the same thing is basically having the attitude of gratitude, thankful for where I'm already am. And I'm not too focused on the future, because if I'm focused on my present moment, then eventually the future, I'm not there yet, but I know that it's coming, if that makes sense of what I'm saying.
I heard somebody say, it was something like along the lines of appreciate the journey and not the destination.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And when I heard that, it made me think about being in the present moment.
Mm-hmm.
And enjoying each step of the way, like being present in each step of the way of your journey.
Yeah, I actually have a lot to say about that, but I think what I will say is, when we're saying something that's out in the future, we're saying we don't have it yet. We're creating a gap between where we are and where we want to be. And so when you create the gap, then you're creating the gap. And so I would say to not create the gap, to live it now. So whatever the thing is that you want more of it. Because if you're saying I want it, you're saying I don't have it. And if you're saying you don't have it, then you're creating a situation of you not having it. So you want to look into your life where it already is. There's probably not much out there that you feel like you want that you don't already have. So look to where it already is in your life. Where is it already showing up? And feeling into that. Feeling into where it's already showing up. Feeling the feeling of whatever it is you want to feel. So, a lot of times it's just easy to say, oh, I want money or abundance or whatever. Well, why do you want that?
What's the why?
Right. And so if you're end up, when it all boils down to it, is most of the times it's because I want freedom. I want to be free. Start feeling free right now in the present moment. And the present moment is what creates the future. So you're creating your future in every present moment. So whatever you're feeling about, being about right now is what's going to show up tomorrow in your future. So you want to have more, you want to focus your energy on getting more of whatever it is. Now, if there's a situation where you really don't have that thing anywhere in your life, I can't think of an example of that really, but maybe somebody can. You don't have that thing anywhere in your life, so you can't say, I want more of it. Well, you can visualize that now. Like, visualize, what does that feel like? Why do you even want it? So visualize, well, what's the feeling I would get if I got that? And then you start feeling into that feeling in the present moment.
This person said, I am having trouble with confronting my past. Do I confront it to deal with it, or should I just move past it?
That's a good question. I think that when you confront your past, it's going to allow you to find a space of peace in your present moment, because you're never going to find peace if you never confronting your past, because your past is always going to be lingering somewhere in the background. So for me, I figured out, like, I had to face my problems head on. Those things that were holding me back in my past, I had to look at, like, what was the issue of me continuously keep going back to my past. Like, what was it that was triggering me? And I think that when you confront your problems, and I'm not saying that, like, you got to go into battle or nothing like that, but just ignoring them is not going to help, because they're never going anywhere. So I would say confront it and find a space of peace with it. When you find peace with your past and your traumas, then I think you will be able to elevate to the next level of your life.
Yeah, no. I kind of would say, I guess, slightly inverse of that. I guess it all really depends on, like, what you're trying to do with it. Like, if confronting your past is going to bring up some feelings that you don't like, don't do it. Like, don't go somewhere and create a feeling that you don't want. Just focus on creating it and flipping it to something that you do want. So if it's, say, like, I'm thinking about confronting, like, a past relationship, and I want to know, like, well, why didn't we work? I always tell myself, there's nothing that person can tell you that is going to make you feel better. It's all about the story that you're telling yourself at that point. And so in a situation like that, I would say, if you're going to confront your past, yes, but not the outer one. You need to confront, like, the story that you're telling yourself more so is the issue. Like, why do I feel like I need to have this from the outside in order to get there? Instead of just saying, well, what is it that I'm looking for from here, and then providing that in yourself. Kind of like how we just said in the last question. And once you figure out what it is you're looking for, just pour more of that into yourself, and that the problem won't be the problem, because the problem was never the problem.
I like that.
Yeah, I would piggyback off that and say we can make a decision that I want to be this now. I mean, I don't feel we necessarily have to confront our past, because I feel like we can create our future. And you can decide today that, hey, I don't want to be this person that feel abandoned because of what happened to me as a kid, or feel this way because of what happened to me as a kid. All I got to do is focus on how I want to feel, and who do I want to be. And I can choose to do that today. I can choose to feel appreciated. I can choose to feel loved today. I can, I can create my future and create who I am now. And we all have the power to decide right now. Like, hey, I don't want to feel like that, and I don't want to let these things affect how I live the rest of my life, or feel like I gotta go box with it to move on from it. No,
Right.
because really what you can do is just say, all those things is a part of my story. It happened for me, and it made me who I am at this very moment. And at this very moment, I can choose to be this new person, and I can choose to feel this way.
Exactly. Kind of took the words out of my mouth. That's why you couldn't get them out, because I was trying to hold on. But yes, exactly. So it's like when you're caught up in the past and you're viewing it as something bad and it's wrong and something didn't go right and I got to fight it and I got to change it and all that stuff, that's all, you're in a state of judgment about the past. And what that means is you're not recognizing that you're a divine being. Nothing went wrong. There's nothing going wrong in the world right now. Like when we look out into the world and say, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's how we experience our life, as everything is wrong. But really, did God make all this wrong? It might not look right to us, but that doesn't mean it's wrong. And the same thing with our past. If we recognize that, we're divine beings, nothing went wrong. Everything was happening. Everything that happened for you. And if you start believing into that and believing that, like taking, if you want to go back, I would literally go back and realize how each thing helped me to get to where I am today, how each thing helped me to step into my power. So in places where I felt powerless, places where, maybe I felt abused or, abandoned, not cared for, whatever the situation may be, maybe I didn't have a voice. All those things made me want to express that anew. To be more of that. It let me know that I can do more, and it kind of pushes you into growth. And I think we had a conversation recently where we were talking about how when people are different, it causes new things to be created. And I see the same thing with our quote unquote past as the things that are different amongst us that's causing us to express ourselves in a more varied and beautiful way. And the creation that's happening on this planet, it's getting better and better. A lot of times, so many of us will look into the world and say the world is getting worse and worse. But when I look into the world, I see it's getting better and better. Like, I could just go down list after list of, okay, we have this now, we have that now. This is how people are thinking now. This is, like anytime there's a catastrophe, people rush to help out, And, a lot of times you hear it's not enough love in the world, it's not enough this in the world. Where are you looking? What are you looking at? Because when I look out into the world, I'm just amazed. Like, I'll just be like, dang, I wish I could be that nice. Wish I had thought of that. Oh, who can I help too? Like, that's the energy that I get when I look out into the world. And so basically, to bring it all back to the original question is, what was the original question?
Should you confront your past?
All right, confront your past, because a lot of times we look at it as something is wrong, something was bad, and if we can change that perspective from it's something bad, we can lose that judgment and saying, okay, all this was happening for me, it's putting me in the right place at the right time, the right people, the right things for me to create this beautiful thing. Like, it's a change in perspective versus having to go back and fight it and confront it and dig it and all that. And it's there's nothing wrong with doing it that way, but it's just much more beautiful when you can realize, oh yeah, all of that was happening for me, and now it's about to get really good.
One more question?
Sure. Oh, wait a minute. Did you have a question?
I had a question. Somebody asked me, how can you move forward from somebody that you love that hurt you? And I thought about that, and I was like, I said, I can relate to that. And it's very, very simple. forgive. That's pretty much it. You forgive, and you come from a space of love. I think it can be challenging because sometimes I've seen it as to where some people, they want to hold on to the grudge, because the person hurt them so bad. But fail to realize, like, you holding on to energy that's probably hindering you from the next level of your journey. So if you forgive, and when you forgive, and you're coming from like a space of just love, when you're forgiving, then I think you will be able to elevate yourself and move on.
Yeah.
For me, this goes back to taking responsibility for everything that happens in your life, because I can look at the person hurting me or me feeling like they hurt me at the time as that's what I needed at that time. I could take my power back. Like that's a part of my journey that I needed at that moment, and that's what I attracted at that moment. And then it's like you gotta take your power back, because are you just gonna wait on this person for closure for the rest of your life? Like wait on them to say, my bad, I was wrong. Like no, this is not gonna happen.
Sometimes it don't happen.
Right. So you have to take your own power back. You can't wait on somebody else or wait on things outside of you to make you powerful in that moment and understand that happened for me.
Yeah. And I agree with all that. And I guess the last point I'll just piggyback is you got to be ready to tell yourself a different story too. You have to be ready to switch from victim to victor. And I think the minute you switch in that mentality, then that grudge, you don't want that really, because it's like, that ain't a part of me.
And then my perspective would be that there's nothing to forgive. That relationships are the thing, the like a romantic relationship. Were they speaking of a romantic relationship?
Like, no, not romantic wise, like friendship, family member.
Okay.
Yeah.
But relationships in general, they reflect you to you. And I feel like a lot of times, I guess kind of like what Teron said in terms of the story you tell yourself, because the story that I would tell myself is that they chose to come into this experience with you in order to teach you something that you really needed at this time on earth. And so the person who decides, who agrees to come here with you and be mean to you, that person is somebody that, to me, they are like the greatest person. Like, who would decide, okay, yeah, we're going to come down and I know you're not going to like me because I'm about to teach you some lesson. And they agree to do that. So, like, in my mind, I want to say thank you to those people who taught me the greatest lessons. It's nothing to forgive, because if I feel like I have to forgive them, that means I put a whole negative judgment on the situation, and I'm looking at it like everything has happened for me. This whole relationship was orchestrated for me, and to some degrees, I've invited it into my life. I'm responsible for this happening at this time, and I'm just gonna learn something wonderful from it.
Y'all want to do one more question?
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Someone asks, why are women so hard-headed? The question is, how can I prepare myself for all outcomes, good or bad, without constantly thinking or speaking the negative into existence, in a sense of fear? That's what they say. I would say, first of all, I'm not preparing for the bad. Yeah, that's just not, because if I'm preparing for the bad, then the bad gonna happen. It's funny. I got a friend. He's a basketball coach, and he was at my house the night before the game, and he's working on a play to where he was down in the game and got to make a buzzer beater. So I said to him, why are you planning to have to make a buzzer beater for you to win?
Yeah.
Tell me why the next day it came down to a buzzer beater and he missed it, and they missed it and lost. But I say all that to say is I'm not preparing for the bad. And what I would say to that question is where you putting your focus. You got to put your focus on the things you do want and not the things you don't want. A lot of times we're like we discussed earlier, I don't want this, I don't want that, I don't want this. And all our energy and attention is on what we don't want. And we're not even thinking about, okay, what do I want? Let me think about that and let me feel how that looks and let me go into that and visualize that and get that feeling. We're not even thinking about that because we're so busy saying, I don't want that. So yeah, I would just say, keep your focus on the things you do want and not the things you don't want. In a nutshell.
Yeah, no, I guess I'll steal from what you just said earlier. You know, it's I would just say, you know, appreciate the journey and not the destination, because you know, in the preparing for all outcomes, you're thinking about the outcome first. Think about like the process and enjoy every bit of that, and then as you're doing that, gradually you'll come into the outcome that you want because you're just so filled up with joy from everything else that you've done to lead up to it.
I would say, if anything, just be confident in yourself and know that you got it. Don't even think about like what you two guys and just said that you don't have it, because 9 times out of 10 your circumstances gonna come out in a negative way. So if you're in a space of like confident enough that it's gonna work out in your favor, that's all that you need.
And kind of piggybacking on that, when you recognize that you're connected to the source of all that is, I mean, you plus God, that's a perfect combination. That's a winning combination. There's nothing to fear. Now, I personally tend to be afraid of every single thing. So that's my first reaction to most things is fear. However, my next reaction is I'm connected to the source of all that is. What does God fear?
Nope.
And so when I consciously remember to put myself in a space of love, loving the thing that I'm fearing, that's it. Being in love with the thing that I'm fearing, whether I'm fearing, water, whether I'm fearing, going up on stage, whether I'm fearing this next interaction that's about to happen, whether I'm fearing, I don't know, like I said, I will initially face everything with fear, but then realizing, okay, I can just send my love to it. So one of my biggest fears is like social interaction. Like having to go to a party, like that's just, a challenge for me in the physical. And so I literally have to start radiating love. And so instead of me coming to you as a person I don't know and being nervous, I'm loving you. And that's it. And so from that space, everything just magically works itself out.
Some good questions.
Yeah,
really
I agree.
Yeah, so keep the questions coming, guys, because we absolutely love them and they help us to grow as well. So thank you for the questions. Thank you for joining us. And if you have questions, just let us know and we will do another episode like this. And you are also welcome to come on our show. So keep that in mind. So until next time, this is Arvet.
This is Steven.
Rod.
Teron.
See you guys.